It was a quiet and peaceful night in the small town of Ashwood. The streets were deserted, and the only noise that could be heard was the occasional rustling of leaves in the wind. However, in a secluded farmhouse on the outskirts of town, a heinous crime was about to take place. Inside the farmhouse, Emily was trapped and helpless, tied to a chair with duct tape covering her mouth. Her eyes were wide with terror as she tried to break free from the binds that held her captive. She had no idea why she had been kidnapped, or what her abductor's intentions were. All she knew was that she was in grave danger. The man who had taken her was tall and thin, with a menacing grin and a calculated gaze. He stalked around her, watching her every move. Emily could feel his hot breath on her neck as he whispered threatening words in her ear. "You belong to me now," he said, "and I'm going to have so much fun with you." Emily struggled to scream, but the tape over her mouth muted her cries. She frantically searched the room for any means of escape, but there was none. The windows were covered with thick boards, and the door was locked shut. As the night progressed, the man revealed his twisted plans for Emily. He described in gruesome detail how he had been stalking her for months, learning everything about her. He spoke of how he intended to torture her, break her, and make her his own. The mere thought of what was to come made Emily shudder with fear. She prayed for a miracle, and for someone to come and save her from the madness. Just when Emily thought that all was lost, she heard a faint tapping sound outside the farmhouse. It was enough to give her hope, and she began to struggle against her binds even more. As she did, the sound of the door slowly creaking open filled the room. In a burst of adrenaline, Emily managed to break free from her ropes and made a dash for the door. But as she reached the threshold, she was met with a horrifying sight that froze her in her tracks. Standing in front of her was not a savior, but the man's accomplice. The man was grinning from ear to ear, a knife in his hand. And as he lunged towards Emily, she knew that the nightmare was far from over. She was trapped and alone in the darkness, with no one to save her from the horrors that awaited her.